Willkommen. Here is the vocabulary for Deutsch Aktuell, Kapitel 6. So you'll find your first section of vocabulary on either 195 if you're in the 7th edition, or 169 if you're in the 5th or the 6th. And so we are talking first about food. Was isst du zum Frühstück? And the answer would be ich esse. And here are some things you could be eating. Ein Brötchen, eine Scheibe Brot, ein Wurstbrot, ein Käsebrot, kalte Platte, eine Pizza, einen Hamburger, eine Bratwurst, Sauerbraten, Wiener Schnitzel, right? And then schmeckt dir. Now this says it's translated as do you like, and that's certainly a fair translation. But I want you to know that it means does it taste good to you? And that's why you've got the dir in there. It's to you. Does it taste good to you? That is actually something we call dative case. If you are actually in German 1, chapter 6, you haven't done that yet, but I want you to notice that because that's coming. So schmeckt dir das Mittagessen, das Abendessen, die Wurst, der Käse, and a few other expressions. Wohin geht's denn? Now, if you translated that word for word, it is where is it going then? But it's just an idiom that means where are you going? Wohin geht's denn? Zum Imbiss. Ich kann leider nicht. Ich muss nach Hause. Now notice it translates as I have to go home. Do you see gehen in there at all? You don't. So you could say ich muss nach Hause gehen. Perfectly legit, every word in there. But Germans often will omit the gehen because nach Hause has this meaning hidden inside of it, motion towards your house. So ich muss nach Hause. And then ich habe Hunger. So Germans don't say I am hungry. They say I have hunger. And you will often notice this in German grammatical constructions. They don't use that predicate adjective construction like we do in English so much. So ich habe Hunger. All right, now page 210 or 183, depending on your edition. The larger number is always for 7th edition. 210, 183. Desserts and beverages, and German desserts are some of the most wonderful things you will ever eat. So first of all, the word for ice cream is Eis. So, was für ein Eis möchtest du? And then ich möchte Schokoeis mit Schlagsahne, Zitroneneis, Vanilleeis, Erdbeereis. And then the word for prefer is lieber. So, ich möchte lieber. And then you could say one thing over another. And then hast du Durst? And again, they don't say I am thirsty. They say I have thirst. So if I'm going to say, are you thirsty? I ask, do you have thirst? Hast du Durst? And then etwas zu trinken. And here's what I like to drink. Ich trinke gern. Now remember, gern means gladly. So ich trinke gern is technically I gladly drink, or I drink gladly. But in English, we would translate it as I like to. So ich trinke gern Apfelsaft, eine Cola, ein Glas Milch, ein Glas Eistee, eine Tasse Kaffee, eine Tasse Kakao. And then wohin gehst du? And Germans, when they have movement, they won't ever use wo, where. They will ask where to or where from. So where are you going to? Wohin gehst du? Ins Eiscafé or in die Pizzeria. And then finally, auf Seite 217 oder 189. So this is the big list at the end of the chapter. 217 or 189. So Abendessen, Apfelsaft, and then Appetit. It's a borrowed-in word, and when Germans sit down to eat, they often will they wait for everyone to have the food, and then they look at each other and they say Guten Appetit. Now, in some parts of Germany, they say Mahlzeit, 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 which is essentially the same thing. Only Mahlzeit means like mealtime, so they're saying have a good meal. But Guten Appetit. There, it's all enjoy your meal. It's a polite thing to do as a courtesy. Bitte schön. Now you may have noticed that bitte has lots of meanings. So we learned it originally that it means please, and it certainly does. But then if someone says thank you, the response will be bitte. So bitte also means you're welcome. If your waitress comes up and kind of nods to you and says bitte schön, she's saying, may I help you? And then even like if you didn't understand someone, you want to repeat it, you would look at them and you could say bitte or wie bitte, which is again, like, can I hear that again, please? I didn't hear you. So bitte is just a very nice, polite word to put in there. All right, bitte schön, Bratwurst, Brief, bringen, Brot, and then Brötchen. So notice how the O Brot moves to an umlaut, Brötchen. So Brötchen, Brot is bread. Brötchen is a little bread. It's a roll. It's that hard, crusty roll. Butter, Cola, Danke schön. So you may have learned schön as pretty or beautiful. Certainly it is. But Danke schön is a way of intensifying your thanks. So it's thank you very much. When you were little, you may have said something like pretty please. When you wanted something, this is sort of like this. This is sort of like thank you, please. Or sorry, pretty thank you, danke schön. Then draußen, dürfen, Durst, and again the idiom Durst haben, to have thirst, to be thirsty. Email, and the verb for sending email is schicken, so eine email schicken. Eis, Eiskaffee, Eisschokolade, Eistee, Erdbeereis, Erdbeershake. So shake is borrowed in, so it gets an basically English pronunciation, Erdbeershake. Essen, Fisch, Gemüse, Glas, Hamburger, Hunger, and again, to have hunger is to be hungry, so Hunger haben. Imbiss, Insel, and in the readings of this chapter, you will be talking about Insel Rügen, which is an island in the Ostsee, and the Ostsee is the Baltic. Kaffee, Kakao, kalte Platte. So kalte Platte is a platter full of cold cuts. It's a very common thing that you might be served with your breakfast, is a platter of cold cuts to go with your crusty rolls, or in the evening. So Germans tend to eat their biggest meal at noon. So in the evening, you also might have kalte Platte, which is just kind of cold cuts and bread, like a light supper. Kartoffel, Käse, Käsebrot. And so that Käsebrot is it could possibly be slices of bread, but what likely that cheese sandwich is going to be, again, your hard crusty roll with some really good cheese in the middle, and probably mustard, Zimt with that. Kellner, Können, Kosten, Lecker, Leckerbissen, leider, lieber. So look at that phrase, ich möchte lieber, that's I would rather, or you can pencil in there prefer. I would prefer, ich möchte lieber. Lieblingseis. So you've seen the word Liebling before. When we had our favorite subject, it was Lieblingsfach. This is favorite ice cream, Lieblingseis. Marmelade, Milch, Mittagessen, mögen, müssen, nix. So nicht without an S means not. Nix means nothing. Nusseis, oft. Pizza, pizzeria. Platte. And then this is borrowed in from French. So it is pomme frite. Salat, Sauerbraten, Scheibe, and eine Scheibe Brot, Chicken, Schlagsahne, Schmecken. So schmecken means to taste, but it's always used in the construction. Does this taste good to you? Schmeckt dir? And then Schoko Eis, Schokolade, Schoko Shake, Schreiben, Sitzen, Sollen, spaghetti ice. So spaghetti ice is very interesting. It's vanilla ice cream. It is squeezed through an extruder. So the ice cream comes out in thin strands so that it looks like spaghetti noodles. And then they put like raspberry or strawberry sauce on the top of it to look like tomato sauce. And then they usually shave white chocolate on the top to look like cheese. So spaghetti ice is a strawberry sundae, but it looks similar to spaghetti noodles with sauce and cheese on top. Spätzle, sprechen über, Tasse, trinken, Türkei. Now this Türkei is only for the country. It's not for the animal. Notice the capital T, that kind of is your clue that it's the proper noun. It's a country. Vanilla ice, werden, Wiener Schnitzel, wollen, Wurst, Wurstbrot, Zitroneneis.